All right, being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Public comments. We have any public comments this evening? No public comments. So anyone in the audience? Hearing none, we'll move on. Consent calendar, council, how would you like to proceed?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as submitted. I just want to mention that the item in there is for a $10,000 grant for Mingus Park. So, yeah, that's great. Any other comments? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item is approval of the National Telecommunications Week proclamation. And Tessa? Good evening. Thank you.
First, I'm going to I have some pins for you guys. These are to wear on the week of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tessa Cupp, Communications Administrator for the North Coos 911 Dispatch Center and Coos Bay Police. The week of April 13th through 19th, 2025 is designated as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. This proclamation signifies the city of Coos Bay as a community which recognizes the important contribution public safety telecommunicators make each day. If it pleases the council, approving the proclamation naming the week of April 13th through 19th, 2025 as National Telecommunicators Week in Coos Bay. The professionalism and dedication each telecommunicator gives to their job ensures that every 911 call will be answered promptly and efficiently, and they will contribute to keeping the citizens and city they serve safe. The personnel that staff our Telecommunicators Week work diligently to assure that over 99% of 911 calls are answered within 10 seconds or less. This year, the week of April 13th through 19th is designated as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. This week is designated as a time when citizens can thank public safety men and women who respond to emergency calls and dispatch emergency professionals and equipment during times of crisis. In my nearly 20 years in this profession, no year has compared to the profound significance of celebrating our local 911 dispatchers than this year. Our dispatchers have faced an immense amount of challenges and changes and have taken it all in stride and a positive attitude. The successful merge of the 911 centers in Coos County is largely attributed to the dedication these dispatchers showed to their profession and the community. And I would like to read the proclamation. Whereas proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week for 2025, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone or text the 911 dispatch center at the Coos Bay Police Department. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Coos Bay Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year.
Now, therefore, I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, hereby proclaim April 13th through the 19th, 2025 to be National Telecommunicators Week in Coos Bay in honor of the telecommunicators who diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, don't go anywhere. I need a motion and a second to approve this proclamation,
I
please.
make a motion to approve the proclamation naming the week of April the 13th through the 19th, 2025 as National Telecommunicators Week in Coos Bay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this proclamation. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
So, Tessa, I just want you to explain what area that you handle for, is it North County? How far down do we go?
So we actually now dispatch for all of Coos County. So all incorporated cities and the unincorporated areas of Coos County are handled by the North Coos Dispatch Center.
And I know the chief has mentioned it before, but I just think, can you tell us how many calls you do annually, or however you keep track of them? I know it's thousands.
So pulling the numbers, we'll probably average for 911 calls alone. That's not including stuff that comes in on the non-emergent lines. We're averaging around 2,600 calls a month.
Okay.
We anticipate total call volume probably around 200,000 in this next year.
You know, that's phenomenal. I just want to acknowledge how wonderful a job you guys do for us and for this community. It's the unsung people that are in the back that we don't know about. Been fortunate enough, if you haven't, as a counselor, go back there and check it out. It's really a heck of an operation, and so I just want to commend everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of National Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month proclamation. Captain Schaefer, you're going to start us off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I just wanted to point out that Tessa's been telling me where to go for 20 years now, so they do a great job in there. So I just wanted to give a little background on Child Abuse Prevention Month. By presidential proclamation since 1983, the month of April has been known as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. The common goal for this month is to raise awareness about child abuse and how to prevent it. So during the month of April, victims, service providers, criminal justice members, allied professionals, and community volunteers join together in observance of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Prevention can only be accomplished if, as a society and as individuals, responsibility is taken to offer parents and families the support and the tools they need to provide healthy, nurturing homes for their children. This April 2nd, tomorrow, 2025, at 2 p.m. will be the annual Pinwheel Day at Kids Hope Center, where staff and volunteers will place pinwheels around the center. So, to read the proclamation to you all, I'm going to bring up Julie Marshall, the Executive Director at Kids Hope Center, and she will read the proclamation.
As many years I've been doing this, and I still get so nervous. I know you're all the same people for the most
You
part.
do a great job.
Thanks. Whereas nearly 5 children die every day in America from abuse and neglect, and whereas a high number of children ages 0 to 18 in Coos County, Oregon, are victims of neglect and abuse each year, and whereas, based on a presidential proclamation, the month of April has been recognized as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and whereas the theme for 2025, Powered by Hope, Strengthened by Prevention, reflects our collective responsibility to ensure safe, stable, and nurturing environments for all children and families, and whereas the victory over child abuse and neglect will not be achieved without the support of the entire community and recognition of the importance of the awareness, education, and early intervention to decrease incidents of abuse and support victims and their families. And whereas each April, Bay Area Hospital's Kids Hope Center and the other supporters of the child advocacy and abuse prevention movement ask the community to join the outreach efforts to reduce and prevent child abuse.
Now, therefore, I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, hereby proclaim April 2025 to be Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in the City of Coos Bay and encourage all citizens to join in national effort to raise awareness and help prevent child abuse and neglect. Can I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the proclamation designating April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month proclamation. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. You know, Julie, you do a wonderful job out there, and you've been doing it for a number of years. The Kid Hope Center is just, unfortunately, it's a place that's needed. I wish it wasn't. You know, it's sad when you see, in here it says that 5 children die every day in America. It's just horrible. It's just a horrible situation. But to have people like you and the Kids Hope Center, it's a place for them to be able to get some help. And so thank you so much for what you do.
All right, thank you.
I wanted to add, tomorrow, 2 o'clock,
Yes,
do the pinwheel.
yes, tomorrow, 2 o'clock at the center.
Yeah,
Pinwheel
hopefully the
planting.
clouds will part and it'll be sunny for a half hour.
It's supposed to.
Right.
Keep our fingers crossed. Also, I'll just mention that the Family Fun Day we've changed this year. Everyone's used to it being the last Saturday of the month. This year, we are having Family Fun Day on the 12th of April at John Toppitz Park, so,
Where at?
at John Toppitz Park.
Okay,
All right,
thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the National Library Week proclamation. Sammy. Is Sammy here? Oh, there
I
she is.
am right here.
Yeah, I thought you were out there.
No, I'm not
Weren't you
here.
there to begin with today?
I was there.
Okay,
Now I'm here.
all right.
National Library Week was first celebrated in 1958, and it gives us the opportunity to acknowledge the critical role libraries play in the community. Libraries are welcoming places that bring the community together for entertainment, education, and connections. Today, libraries offer so much more than just books. It will include technology, support for job seekers, classes on a wide variety of things, and even a library of things. So I will now read the proclamation. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. And whereas libraries serve as a vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. And whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals, regardless of background, have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. And whereas libraries partner with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. And whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. And whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, and literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. And whereas libraries protect the right to read, think, and explore without censorship, standing as champions of intellectual freedom and free expression. And whereas dedicated librarians and library workers provide welcoming spaces that inspire discovery, collaboration, and creativity for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme of Drawn to the Library.
Now therefore, I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, do hereby proclaim April 6th through the 12th, 2025, as nation from this time forward shall be observed National Library Week. In the City of Coos Bay during the week, I encourage all residents to visit the library, explore its resources, and celebrate all the ways that the library draws us together as a community. With that being the case, I need a motion and a second, please.
I would like to make a motion to approve the proclamation designated April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation for National Library Week. Are there any comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. So Sammy, I'm always amazed. I think you're having more and more activities there all the time. You do different classes for exercise, and
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things that go on. Tell us a few of them. So,
Well, speaking of exercise, we offer Zumba and yoga, so I'd like to see you there. What do you think? We have that. We have a walking club. We do a book and hike, where we read a book and then basically you go on a hike and discuss it, a way to explore the local trails along with the local weather sometimes, but you know. And then, of course, we have a wide variety of stuff for children, actually for everybody of all ages. We offer computer classes, cooking classes, cooking without having to cook. classes, so you can
Interesting.
make yourself a snack without
Okay.
having to cook. And just, yeah, a wide variety.
So how many of our staff do the Zumba or the yoga classes?
We
here?
will not show pictures, I promise. We will not Zumba shame, so.
Sammy,
go
I
ahead.
was just curious, when you do those walks and those talks, what are you hearing from people that participate?
They enjoy being able to go out and explore the local area as a group, because some aren't familiar with it, but others are, but they just want some company, and to be able to just have some community and some connections there.
Awesome.
And how many visitors are we getting? I think we need to remind people once in a while how active our library is and how
Well,
much you do.
Yeah, last month we had over 11,000 visits to the library.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for all you do.
Well, thank
And
you.
it's a great place to go, and obviously, there's a lot that do go there. All right, the next item on the agenda is public hearing to consider enactment of the ordinance amending the Coos Bay Municipal Code, Chapter 8.45, camping regulations. So what I'll do before I open the public hearing, I'll have the staff give some background and information on this, Nicole, and then I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and you're more than welcome to participate in that public hearing if you'd like. Okay.
All right, thank you. So in 2021, following the passage of House Bill 2006, the city amended this chapter in our code to better align with 2006 with the creation of camping regulations. House Bill 3115, which is more familiar to all of us as the time, place, and manner regulations in the state of Oregon, further provided groundwork for the development of the regulations that we have here at the city of Coos Bay. Over the last few years, some modifications have been made to Chapter 8.45 as we have applied that throughout the city. Several areas currently designated as allowable for camping are now being recommended to be changed, moving their designation from allowable to not allowable. We spoke a little bit about this in the last meeting, and so we identified an area in Empire on Ackerman. That section of road has multiple designations, which makes it a little bit challenging for both the folks who are choosing to camp and then also city staff who are interacting with those folks. So just making that area entirely not allowable for camping will aid in that and hopefully avoid some confusion there. And then we also had some areas in East Side that we presented, essentially removing allowable areas that were really within residential blocks. We had a pretty robust conversation during that meeting, and from that we learned that meeting that reasonableness of time, place, and manner for East Side could maybe just be done by the section of 6th Avenue from Avenue F through Avenue H. So that's what we're bringing forth tonight. That's been revised in the ordinance and also in the maps that were included in your packet. And we had a little bit of talk about what reasonableness means and kind of trying to wrap our heads around whether or not we're providing enough space in East Side. And given that we do not have some regular camping activity in that portion of the city, we believe that that is a reasonable approach. And then I'd follow that up with, we acknowledge that our code is living, and so it could be modified if we see that there's a need for that and there's a greater need for usage of spaces in East Side. So that is what we are presenting tonight, modification based on what the feedback from last meeting.
So reasonable still doesn't have a formula that we know about.
It does not have a formula.
And second of all, I believe that this map, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have any camping is with our time, place, and manner camping ordinance. We're not allowing it to be in residential areas.
Yes, that was the original overlay, was to not be within residential areas. We were picking mixed-use commercial industrial, and then we went back through and identified areas in the city where maybe perhaps there was more vehicular traffic. So we removed like the 101 corridor, we removed the Newmark corridor, South Empire Boulevard, those kind of higher trafficked areas. Outside of that, it's fairly well open. We already do not allow camping, you know, in other areas like parking lots and parks and things like that. So this is really just an address of the public kind of right-of-way spaces.
And this ordinance that you're recommending or suggesting to us and that we discussed at the work session is to reduce the size of what's allowed at the moment. Am I correct?
That is, goodness, sorry. That is correct. Minimally in Empire and maybe more so in East Side, but yes.
And this will make it easier, I hope, for Chief, for our police department to oversee and maintain a little bit easier than what's existing now?
Yes.
Okay. So explain to us, because I know Jacob had asked about the House Bill 3115, which is in our packet. So why this, since the Supreme Court changed the ruling that allowed camping not to, continue in the fashion that we have in the state of Oregon, and we have House Bill 3115. What does this do, even though the Supreme Court took the action they did?
Yeah, the Supreme, and the Chief can step in if I fail to cover all the areas here, because I think I left a few things on the table last time. But so yes, there was a Supreme Court ruling. However, 3115 is what gave us the ability to create this time, place, and manner and identify a way that we manage this within our communities, which we didn't necessarily have previous to that. So though the Supreme Court ruling might have suggested we wouldn't, that we had maybe some greater ability to manage this differently, this 3115 still requires that we acknowledge a reasonable time, place, and manner for folks to rest.
Because this is a state ordinance that we still have to abide by, even though the Supreme Court has overruled what was existing.
Correct. I don't know if you want to add
Chief?
anything else.
Yeah, no, that's correct. Basically, in the state of Oregon, they have recognized all public spaces as being areas permitted to camp and rest. And under 3115, what it did is it allows municipalities and counties to regulate those public spaces under time, place, and manner. And so that's what this ordinance is. And we're looking at it through the lens of reasonableness. And unfortunately, the courts don't define that. But I think we have to look at it, and it's based off of the needs for our community. And other counties and other cities will look at it a little bit differently. But from what we look at and what we're experiencing, I believe what is being proposed is reasonable.
All right. Is there any discussion about having House Bill 3115 eliminated or changed? Do we
Not that
have
I'm
you heard
aware
anything about that?
to date.
I have not heard anything along those lines, and it is an actual ORS now. It is a state statute, so it would be very difficult.
So I know Grants Pass was involved in getting the Supreme Court to hear that case, but I just heard, and maybe you're aware of it, that there was a ruling against Grants Pass. They have a couple camps. They don't have people do, on their time, place, and manner, they don't have people stay on the, like we do here, on the commercial areas and different areas within their city. They have a couple camps. If I understood that correctly, the judge said that they had to upgrade these camps and make certain availability and help them in certain ways. Is that correct? Are you aware of this?
I am aware, and I'm not going to, I'm just going to throw a disclaimer out. I'm not claiming to be an expert on Grants Pass situation, but the way that I understand it, there's a couple different ways that you can address homelessness issues within your community. Grants Pass looked at it and they established 2 designated areas, and they restricted all other public spaces, but they had 2 fairly significant sized areas for folks to come and rest. Recently, they decided to narrow that down to 1 space, and as a result, I believe there was some litigation or some threatening of litigation because what they did was they restricted the available space, and it was, from what I understand, it was already overcrowded. And so there again, I think we're looking at it from a different lens. We believe that we are still providing a reasonable space in all of our districts within our city, and we're not seeing the issues of overcrowdedness in certain areas. And so we're not restricting in a sense where it's going to cause a greater impact on the other existing spaces within our community.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up, I know I've heard this before, why can't we just have one location for the homeless instead of what we have? But the problem that so going back, we really, I believe, took an approach that was really thought out when we first did this, because we wanted to make sure that we followed the law. At that time, we had the Supreme Court, well, it wasn't that at the time. What was the case at the time? Ninth
It
Circuit.
was, the Boise
Yeah.
case, yes.
The Boise case, and so we had to, come up with a plan that would fit into that criteria, and then also meet House Bill 3115, which mirrored that ruling at the time. So the city of Coos Bay decided to take this tack, which I think is the correct one. If we had one facility, I think that we might find ourselves in a legal ballot at times, and that's the last thing I want to do. So I want to commend the staff for being thoughtful and come up with a plan that I think is, I mean, I wish we could do something differently, but it's something that we have to deal with. And I also realize that the homeless need some assistance. I wish we had some better things that could help them. You know, we have Commissioner Farmer, who was sitting on the city council and is an advocate for mentally ill, and he went up there to Astoria and talked to them about it, and he's been to Salem many times. Maybe they can take care of it. I also hope some of our own agencies around here have wraparound services. Again, we end up learning more about things than we want to, but that would help the homeless also. Anyway, enough. Let's open the public hearing. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me talk. So with that being the case, I'll open the public hearing to consider enactment of ordinance amending Coos Bay Municipal Code. Anyone would like to speak about this or to it? That means we must be doing the right thing. I'll just take silence as golden, right? Oh, almost. I pushed it too far.
Not at all. So I understand we need to obey the law. 6th Street is the most busy street in Eastside, and I'm a little worried about people camping on the sidewalk. And so are they going to allow parking on 6th Avenue? Like RVs? Because there's no room for RVs on 6th Avenue.
That would still be restricted under our other ordinances in terms of parking on the right-of-way. You can't block traffic, you can't block the sidewalk, even camping on the sidewalk, if they're blocking pedestrian traffic, then that's going to be addressed. Okay. So all those same rules still apply, whether or not it's permitted space. But the biggest thing is we just have to remember that all public space is permitted under 3115 unless you restrict it under time, place, and manner.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
And remember that there is a time frame. So at 6 a.m., they need to not be camping any longer. They can still be on the sidewalk,
Right.
but they can't be camping.
Okay.
And I think it's at 8 o'clock at night, correct? Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And council, how would you like to proceed?
I move that we enact ordinance amending Coos Bay Municipal Code 8.45 camping regulations.
It's been moved, and I don't have a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enact ordinance amending Coos Bay Municipal Code 8.45. I need a roll call, please.
Do we have time for discussion?
Oh, I apologize. Of course we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay. I hate to throw a wrinkle into it. I really appreciate the work you did and trying to trim it down a little bit. But it occurred to me that we just spent a great deal of time and effort in building the sidewalks and the endeavor of the safe routes to school right along that path. Is that going to be contradictory to what we're doing here? I realize there's time and place. They're supposed to be gone at 6 and be out of, or not till 8 o'clock, but I can foresee many parents saying, we don't want them camping on that street. We won't want our kids walking back and forth to school. That's just my 2 cents observation.
Yeah, and if I may answer, I guess the thing that we have to remember is it is already permitted. So this is just restricting the areas that are already permitted. So right now, it is permitted whether this is enacted or these changes are enacted. All public space is permitted under 3115. It does allow cities to regulate time, place, and manner. And so what we're doing is we're taking an area that's already permitted and we're shrinking it down.
So what would happen if, is it too far to move it to the big green spot out there by Ross Inlet? Sorry.
No, that's fair. So I think the other thing, I guess, from my perspective, what I believe this was a good path to take is because the site vision up and down 6th Avenue, and specifically in that section, you can see for a while there. Whereas if you go up further 6th, then you go down D, you don't have that same visual. And so though it is traveled frequently, the safety piece of being able to see kind of takes away some of that concern.
So if I can interpret what you're saying is
Yeah.
by being out in the open and visual, there's less likelihood of nefarious activities.
No.
In both directions.
In both
If you're-
directions.
If you're homeless, then you need a place.
Yeah,
it
I was
provides a
doing it.
safety element for that as well.
I was commenting more on the aspect of the traffic flow through there, that being a very busy street. I agree, that is a busy street. I drive it regularly, but given all the areas, it's tight throughout much of East Side. They had a very tight street structure there. So that is open space that you can see a little bit easier. It does feel safer from that respect. It's, again, you know, you're guessing how it will be used. It's not really used right at the moment to that degree. I'm guessing that children are walking on the residential side of that, potentially crossing up at the flashing beacons right past Coach House, and perhaps not on the water's edge. Now, I am aware that there are folks who walk the water's edge sidewalk regularly, pedestrian, use, but.
I
Just
have
an
a
observation
comment.
for comment.
I have a comment too. I mean, right now, it is allowed under our camping ordinance, the entirety of 6th Street and D Street, correct? So this is actually a reduction. And I don't know if we've heard anything since that was enacted. How long ago?
Well, we did originally, I think, in 2021, so.
Yeah.
I think it would be easier to regulate also, I mean, because of the visibility, I would think. And, I mean, that's the intent. But, again, I think for everyone's information, as Nicole mentioned, this is a living document. If we want to come back and look at it again, I think then we should. And I think we should revisit this occasionally and see if there's a way that we can make it better for everyone, homeless, and also for the police department to regulate and oversee.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Kind of goes to what Troy was saying about students on their path to school. As I look at Empire, I know that some of these allowed areas are on my students' bus routes and on the routes that they walk to school. And so I guess my question is what's the process for us amending some of these, and is that a discussion we can have now, or is that supposed to be brought up in specific methods, kind of like what happened previously where an individual citizen brought it up?
I mean, all of those things are pathways to amending code.
Okay.
Historically, where we've kind of had these conversations, it was in the homeless work group. We kind of worked through those kind of challenges, and it rose up to council afterwards.
Okay.
Our alternative of that group now is livability. Now, we looked at this briefly and decided that this wasn't something that we were going to tackle at that time, that group. But they might have interest in talking about it in relation to transportation routes. I'm not sure. We have 2 counselors who sit on that, if that's something we think. Or it could be a discussion here.
I think that they kind of felt that it had been addressed, and I would also remind this council that it has a responsibility to all citizens in this community, whether it is a student, whether it is a parent, or whether it is a homeless person. Those are people that we have to represent in our city. And we can't, I mean, we have people that have come to this council that said, remove it all. We don't want it anywhere in our city. So then what do you have? Where does it end?
But again, I think this can be looked at, Jacob, in the future, and those are things that we can think about. I mean, I really do believe that we can contain this. I mean, this first one was pretty big area. I mean, and it was hard for us to oversee and regulate, and the police department, and so now, you know, we've been through this for a while, and so coming back and thinking about it, and if the council has an interest in addressing it, we can bring it back and look at it again, or the livability committee. So there's many ways to do it. So, yep. Okay. If you think it's a problem, we need to think about it. Yes.
So that was my comment, and I suppose the truth is, you're right. If we have to follow the intent of the law, we have to put it somewhere.
Yes.
And I think this council, previous to me, has done a lot of work in having good vision, and the staff as well, as to try to figure that out the best they can to walk that tightrope, so to speak. So thank you.
Carmen?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to kind of remind everybody if there's becomes a problem in an area where activity is permitted, but then of course there's the time and place, so after 6 a.m. and until 8 p.m. If there's a problem, you know, you see something, you say something. Within these communities, within these neighborhoods, don't hesitate to give the PD a call. I would hope that this is not me overstepping. Chief, you can you know, speak up to this, but you know, the safety and you know, oversight of all of our community is, like you said, Stephanie, within our hands, and we all need to participate in that. So that would be my comment.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Good discussion. All right, with that being the case, Christine, you want to do roll call, please?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 579, regulating camping regulations within the city of Coos Bay. Counselor Kilmer?
Aye.
Counselor Stevens?
Aye.
Counselor Cribbins?
Aye.
Counselor Niebergall?
Aye.
Counselor Matthews?
Aye.
Mayor Benetti?
Aye.
Ordinance number 585 has been duly enacted.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration of award of the 2025 timber sale contract. Jennifer.
Okay, thank you. The city typically conducts timber sales on their forest land every uneven years. In 2024, the timber market was low, and so the city's forester recommended to delay the sale by a year. So here we are in 2025, and we advertised. This proposed timber sale is on 53 acres. The sale was advertised in February. Bids were opened in March. The city received 2 responses. Scott Timber Company submitted a response for $716,088, and Swanson submitted a response for $857,908. So both these amounts are based on estimated cruise volumes, and so once we have an actual harvest, those numbers may go a little bit above or a little bit below those quotes. In addition to asking council to consider awarding the 2025 timber sale, there are additional costs that need approval. These costs are typical of every sale, and they consist of repayment of Loop Road construction, the annual maintenance of Loop Road, and the reforestation and planning contract. So that total amount, including a contingency, is for $47,150. Before I turn it over for questions, I received a call from our forester. He's recommending that we put a pause on our timber sales for about 10 years. The stands are immature and they need time to grow. The forester is pulling together a plan with recommendations and a proposed path forward. So there's more to follow, but I just wanted to give you that information because it was given to me. Sorry, it's not better news.
So was a suggestion to pause before we authorize this timber sale, or from this point on?
It's after this timber sale. Anything past the 2025 timber sale, he's suggesting that we put a 10-year pause. And that's just it's approximate. He's going to know more once he dives in. And they have been mentioning that this time is coming. I mean, this is, thank you. They've mentioned this before. We just didn't really know where we were.
How long was
right
it
now.
before this timber sale? When was the last one?
It was in 2022, and they are actually just now this summer going to harvest those,
Okay.
those stands.
Council comments for Jennifer?
I had just heard that concern probably about 6 months to a year after we made the last, so it didn't surprise me.
Thank you.
How long will this timber harvesting take?
We're giving until 2027 for them to harvest. The less restrictions we put on the sale, the better the sale comes back to
Okay.
us. There is a balloon payment that we did request for, I want to say it was $40,000, but I can,
So the reason I ask is because we use these funds for multiple things, police cars, equipment for the staff, and am I missing something?
Even some building kind of maintenance issues, yeah, larger ticket items, that's generally what we, have used it for.
So I think we're a little bit behind on some of these needs, and so therefore I just was wondering when we'd have the funds for the staff. Anyway, those are my questions. So, any other questions?
Yes, can I just clarify? So we are talking about receiving $100,000.
correct. This is-
But we
yeah,
are going to spend $47,000.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll net over 800,000, correct?
Yes, give or take. And again, these numbers are based on a cruise. So when the actual volumes come in, it can go a little bit above and a little bit below, but typically there has not been any drastic discrepancies.
Okay.
And the flexibility allows them to actually do the harvest when they're getting a better price for the timber.
Exactly. The market's very volatile.
All right, good question. Do you have, Troy, question? All right, I need a
I
motion.
got,
No, Carmen.
Oh, sorry, Carmen.
yep, the voice from beyond here. I guess there's a recommendation for timber management on the table, and I was just wondering if we will have a future agenda item on just our timber management practices, or, annual, or not annual, but, forecasting for X amount of years coming up here soon.
That's
Well,
the
I
plan.
think that's a good idea. I think we should have it on the agenda and have a discussion and with some information about it. There's no need on it to be expedited or quickly, but in the near future, I think we should have some kind of plan and address the concerns about holding off, so.
Yep.
Didn't you say he was going to work on that information?
If what I'm hearing, I think there's two different things. There's the recommended plan for maybe this pause that we're taking and any ancillary actions we can to maybe decrease that pause. And then what I think Councilor Matthews is asking is just general practices and what our management of our forest land consists of. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I guess, just coming from the water board, we talk about our timber management plan in 30-year increments. And so, just coming at it from, I believe, I don't know how many times we talked about it since I've been on council, but it's not that many. So I was just wondering if we were maybe gonna have a more robust discussion on our forest management practices within the purview of the city.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. The other thing, just to kind of speak to, knowing this information, we know historically we had a double dipping. We did a couple harvest sections at the same time, and so that's what causes now where it's catching up with us. So we're going to have to meet as, the management team, identify that revenue that's coming in and, kind of highest and best use, maybe hoping to fill that gap as long as we can, knowing we have needs. So, yeah, that'll be a piece of the puzzle.
Yes, it will. All right.
I have a motion.
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we award the 2025 timber sale to Swanson Company and approve the additional cost, which is repayment of Loop Road construction, annual Loop Road maintenance, and reforestation/planting contract required to complete the 2025 timber sale for an amount not to exceed $47,150.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the 2025 timber sale contract. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. All right, consideration to adopt Resolution 25-09, modifying the limited English proficiency language access plan. Mouthful, Nicole.
So the city of Coos Bay is updating its limited English proficiency or
Microphone.
So sorry. Thank you. The city of Coos Bay is updating its limited English proficiency or LEP policy to align with federal requirements and specifically to some of the current grants that the city has. This update reinforces the city's commitment to ensuring that there's equitable access to programs and services for individuals who have limited English proficiency. The policy is designed to support individuals who don't primarily speak English and may have difficulty reading, writing, speaking, or understanding the language. And the whole idea behind this is to kind of document our intention towards making sure the services that we provide at the city are accessible by folks who don't use English as their primary language, and the ways in which we might do that, the ways in which we might look at that over the years. You know, how do we make sure staff is trained? There's just, it kind of outlines how we manage this in general, just to make sure that services are accessible. So the difference between the two policies, you'll note that the first policy we had in place was pretty in-depth. Rather than have some of that background, we're relying on referencing sources for that background. So, for example, our demographic detail, we're going to reference folks to the site that would come from, rather than make sure that stays updated in our policy. I think that's a significant thing. This avoids us having to come back to this frequently. So, and then it's just a little bit tidier and easier to kind of work through. The other one was pretty lengthy. The other one started with the CDBG grant, and they have a little bit more tough requirements to get started. So once we've got it started, I think the streamlined version kind of handles all the pieces.
Questions?
I'd just like to make a request when we're changing policy or procedure, and you're asking us to do that. Can we see the changes as well, the document with the changes?
Sure. This is actually like kind of a whole get rid of the old one and replace, but yes, we could have included that. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I need a motion, please.
I move to adopt Resolution 2509, modifying the limited English proficiency language access plan, and repeal Resolution 21-07.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 25-09 and repeal the Resolution 21-07. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. All right. City Manager's report. Nicole.
All right, so update on Gussie's. I'm sure that's on everybody's mind. Demo permit was pulled yesterday by the contractor that was selected. So that gives Arcadia the point to go in on site and actually do the remediation work. When that's complete, they need to file that report with us. We have an obligation to make sure that it was completely remediated before we allow demolition. So although the permit length is 6 months, the contractor is ready to get in there as soon as Arcadia is done. So we would expect a quick turnaround. So I don't know what that means, because it really depends on when Arcadia finishes their work to when they can start that next step. But we have a permit pulled and we got a contractor engaged, so progress.
So a contractor has been hired.
Yeah, he's actually they're the individuals who came in and pulled the permit.
Okay. In Arcadia, how long is this going to take? Do we know?
I don't know if we have experience with remediation work.
Well, Arcadia has to do a hazardous materials report, and so it just spins their backlog. We haven't, 30 days.
Okay. All right.
Progress.
I
It's
know.
government.
Yeah, still. All right. Thank you.
Okay, and then I was just going to share that next week we have the annual housing summit coming. I think we have pretty good program coming to town. Lots of folks, should be 2 days. It's been 1 day in the past, so some focused developers, some innovative kind of building materials, all sorts of great things. So we will have some folks there attending from the city, just to kind of learn. And then I was going to share Friday, we are going to send a group of folks to Salem to support and present our Business Oregon application for the pump station. Our application will be reviewed by the Infrastructure Financing Authority on Friday. So Jennifer has agreed to attend, Mayor Benetti, our rate consultant, Steve Donovan, and potentially the developer. We're still waiting to see what his time frame is like. So, and that's all I have on my list for tonight.
Wow, okay. Good news, so good report. I mean, some good things, and hopefully the Gussie's property happens quickly. Anyway, not soon enough. Anyway, council comments. Carmen?
I am not prepared in terms of council comments, so I will go ahead and move on.
All right, thanks. Troy?
I have no comments this evening.
All right.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, you don't have to be sorry. Stephanie?
I always have something to say. No.
Okay.
I really didn't, but I do want to recognize the proclamations that were made tonight, all very important things in our community. And I appreciate all those who work in those fields to provide those services to our citizens and beyond. And then, because I keep forgetting to send an email, I noticed that there were 3 lights out across from 7-Eleven in Empire the other night. I don't know if they still are. On the Gussie's side. I think there were 2 on Gussie's side. And it was pretty dark in there. So anyway, and then the flashing beacon wasn't working, so I don't know if that has been fixed or not. That's all I have.
All right, Sarah?
I have 2 things. One is that SOAB is partnering with SWAC to revive some phases of trails on the SWAC campus, and so we are hiring some youth work crews to help support that. People 18 years or older can apply on our website. $15 an hour, learn how to do some trail maintenance. Should be pretty cool. And then the second thing, completely different, is I'm curious if we have ever reviewed or had a conversation about restricting the burning of trash within city limits. And if not, is that something we can have a discussion about in the future? I'll tell you, my experience is it's spring, it's beautiful out, and then the city air gets congested with the burning of people's trash, and oftentimes those are days where it's the air is somewhat stagnant. We don't, it's not windy. It makes it difficult to go outside and enjoy the sunny day. I think there's lots of opportunities for people to dispose of trash in the city. So I don't think we should be allowing the burning of trash in city limits.
Well, it's something that we should obviously review, I guess, put a report together and, talk with our chief and, see where we're at and discuss how we want to move forward. All right?
Yeah.
Jacob.
Stephanie just suggested livability, maybe someone for that committee. Yeah.
That means me.
Yes.
Not much other than to say, yay for the library. I literally picked up a book on my way over here. Sammy, you're doing great work out there, and if you haven't gone recently, go check out some books, and there's a whole awesome library of things, too, with wild stuff in there. So, yay libraries.
All right. I got a few things. First of all, took a walk this morning, no, this afternoon, not this morning. But anyway, as I was walking, I saw a couple new businesses. Coastal Flooring is a new facility downtown, next to, it used to be Perky's, I think, but it's right there across from Seven Devils, that area there. Also, the Little Fish Market opened up today. SoWeb was partnering with that business to help them facilitate it. I also think, is Okta going to participate and help them? Good. So anyway, those are great things. And then there's another business, and the name escaped me, is down there next to Jenny's. And so some kind of gift shop or something like that, but I'll remember what it is. But anyway, new business is coming to downtown, which is good stuff. Again, the Mayor's Walk is going to be at the college on May 14th, and we're going to talk about trails. So everyone, try to be there it's Monday, the 14th at noon. Both Jessica and myself will be out there with President Patty Scott, and Elise Hamner. So we'll be walking, talking about how to do better trails out there. The other thing that came to was brought up to my attention is the hollering place and garbage. And so the Coast Guard has agreed to watch our cameras. I guess we have a camera out there? Do we have a camera at the hollering place? Well, anyway, obviously, Tom that lives down there had told me he talked to the Coast Guard, I don't know, and now I need to get the names for you, but they will watch the camera and review it for us and let us know about any illegal dumping. I guess we have a large dumpster down there, and I agree that the dumpster should be there, and I think we should facilitate it. He said that they know when it's dumped, a few people, they show up, line up, and then they start really dumping a lot of trash or whatever. I think it should be available for the locals and the citizens, but I don't think it should be utilized as a commercial situation for others. So anyway, maybe it's something we can do. Anyway.
I've actually witnessed
you have
vehicles pull up and dump their household garbage in that dumpster.
You know, I mean, we need to think about this. I mean, again, I don't want burning trash. So are you referencing burning yard debris and stuff like that too? Just trash?
No, it's actually trash, and you can smell the plastic
okay.
Burning.
All right.
And I mean, I think there's I did a little research, and it looks like you can't actually restrict the burning of dry branches during a certain period of time in the state of Oregon, but cities can restrict the burning of trash. Is that correct? You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's like a DEQ ordinance for one thing. Inside the city limits, we don't allow open burning we do allow open burning for like brush and vegetation, but not for trash. Trash is only allowed to be in a burn barrel, and that's still only limited to like cardboard and paper products. So plastics, all that is always going to be illegal.
Okay, well, we need to bring it up and talk about it. So you're thinking for our staff to be able to address this, even burning of like cardboard and paper. So we just, yard debris, okay, but the other type of thing is what we're looking at, discussing. All right?
Okay.
All right, that's it for the meeting. We have no renewal meeting this evening, so I'll adjourn the meeting and thank you everyone for attending.